At least it happened as we were leading into a conversation, as opposed to in the middle of one.
Yeah. Ooh, it looks like we've returned to the land of the real.
All right, I think we're back. Are we? Yes.
We're
No?
back enough to party.
All right, yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. XSplit on my end crashed. I have no idea what caused it. It happens sometimes with any software, as we spent like the past 20 minutes bashing console users
Maybe you need
about the PC
maybe you need
crash
your
stories. Maybe I need my
computer to be as
drivers
powerful
updated.
as a Scorpio.
Yeah, maybe. Anyways,
Persona 5.
sorry about that. Thanks for sticking around. We're going to lead back into that story and talk about how Persona 5 came out last week, and there is this weird asinine streaming policy that's come along with it. Essentially, posted up on the Atlus blog right here, they talk about how, hey, the game's released, we're all happy to see it, and we know a lot of one of you stream it, but there's some really fucked up statements in the page itself here about streaming, saying things like, if you stream past a certain point, you are, quote, at the risk of being issued an ID claim, or worse, a channel strike, account suspension. They also have all these guidelines about how you can't post anything more than 90 minutes long. You can't post story spoilers. You're not supposed to show any of the anime cutscenes. This thing is a fucking embargo that I get for my games journalism shit. This is not something that you send out to people who have bought the game with their own money. You can't fucking control people like this, man.
It's like more serious than Nintendo.
Yeah, they try to play it off all suave and cool. It's like, hey, we don't want any spoilers, so... But if you get into the nitty-gritty, they're straight up saying that you can't do what you would normally... what any other... well, almost any other game company will let you do with this. And they essentially have this... It's an embargo. You're looking at an embargo for fucking people who just legitimately bought the game, which is bullshit because you didn't sign anything. And Atlus clearly doesn't know what fair use is with this statement. I'm flabbergasted that they would do something like this.
I get what they're thinking, I guess, in the sense that it's a story-driven single-player game, and they want people to be able to experience it without having spoilers. But the problem is, we don't live in that era anymore.
No.
There's tons of people that maybe don't have the money to go pick up Persona 5, but they really want to see it and enjoy it, and so they're going to watch their favorite streamer play it from start to motherfucking finish.
I also don't buy that
You have
excuse
completely taken that away
Yeah.
by limiting not just what they can show, but how far into the game. There's actually a limit on the in-game date that you can play to and still stream. There's limits on various things you're allowed to talk about. They only want you to mention the game in vague terms.
Yeah, fuck that.
You can't
That's
have
really weird, by the way. For example, they're saying that we can't even talk about the game. Fuck off. If I want to do a spoiler cast,
you can't talk about specific things that happen.
Kiss my
you
ass,
cannot
Atlas.
say, dude, remember on day 6 when you go into the room and then this one main character and then somebody died? I haven't played the game, so I don't know what happens. But you can't just be like, so-and-so dies at whatever point, because then you get fucking... You can get content ID claimed, or you can actually get a channel strike or account suspension.
Yeah, fuck off. I also don't buy your excuse, Atlas, of avoiding spoilers, because this game has been out in Japan for fucking 7 months already.
Yeah,
you
for
can
fucking ever.
Entire playthroughs of this game already.
Maybe if this came out the first or the second time it was supposed to, you can get away with this kind of shit.
No, you can't even get away with it then. Fuck that. Fair use. Fair use is on my side. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I like you, Atlas. And I here's, you know what the bitch of it all is? Let me bring up that page again. This right here under streaming content. This being a Japanese title with a single playthrough story means our masters in Japan are very wary about it. Sharing is currently blocked for PlayStation 4 UI, etc. And this is where it says if you decide to stream past 7.7, I highly recommend not doing this. You have been warned. Ooh. They talk about their Japanese masters. This is fucking Sega. This is Sega overreaching like they fucking always do. And all this does is burn your goodwill, and what sucks is that Atlus is the one having to take heat for it, because you know this is not their call, But
Oh, there's
ultimately,
no fucking way, because Atlus doesn't give a shit. All they do is localize games,
Yeah.
and they're awesome at it.
ultimately, though, this statement is on your fucking website, Atlus, not Sega's. So guess who has to answer for it? Sorry.
Nope.
It sucks. I don't want you to see you burn through all of your goodwill, Atlus. But this kind of shit is unacceptable when you're dictating terms to people who bought your game, who have not signed anything. There's no EULA to this or anything like that. You are just doing this heavy-handed bullshit. And
Remember, you can't capture video from major boss fights.
yeah,
You
fuck
can't
off.
talk about the painting, whatever the fuck that means.
Fuck
You
off.
can't have videos of cutscenes or animated scenes, but your video should prominently feature dungeon crawling or spending time in Tokyo.
Fuck
The
off,
shit
fuck
we've
off,
seen in all the
fuck
fucking
off.
trailers. You can post straight gameplay or have commentary. You can post as many videos as you want, but they can't be longer than 90 minutes. No major story spoilers, and we're leaving that to your good judgment. If you need guidelines, avoid spoiling the ending sequence, and it's just so fucking stupid.
This is what game journalists get for embargoes for their reviews. In fact, this is the review embargo
No,
that
I
they've
get
just
that.
changed a little bit.
I understand that when a game isn't out yet, you're not allowed to fucking tell everybody what happens and just have a shit ton of spoilers come out. I understand that.
Well, that's if
you're
you
reviewing
sign
a
it.
game
That's if
that
you sign the embargo.
100 some odd people have. That's what I'm saying. If they're sending out 100 copies of a game, what's
Yeah.
up, Cream Corn?
Hey, Cream Corn. You sign an agreement saying, hey, I agree to not talk about this game in exchange for you sending it me early for review purposes. But let's say I
But if
get a
someone just
game
buys
from
it-
GameStop off a truck 2 weeks before it comes out. Atlus can't fucking tell me this shit. And you know what the most fucked up thing about all this is? This wouldn't have even been a problem. But now that Atlus made this press statement come out and put all this shit in here, the Streisand effect has kicked in. So now you essentially have dared the internet don't do something. How the fuck do you think the internet's going to respond?
By constantly doing it.
Yeah. If you go and look at I deliberately didn't show the replies to that statement. If you go look at the replies to it, there are spoilers all over there. Because they're like, oh yeah? Well, fuck you. Here's spoilers for everything.
Do you remember that time that Beyonce didn't like that picture that was on the internet, so she wanted it taken down? So the internet was like, sure. And then we stopped posting it all the fucking time forever, and we don't talk about it on its anniversary.
Yeah, the Streisand effect. This is exactly
That's
what started here.
It's just fucking... It's stupid.
And
it's really outrageously upsetting, honestly.
I'm talking to you, Atlus, but let's face it, Sega are the ones responsible for this. Get with the fucking times. You can't stop this, and when you do heavy-handed shit like this, all it does is amplify how many people are going to be doing it. Learn your lesson.
Although,
from this.
here's the funny thing
Stop.
to me.
Yes.
For once, you actually have to say it backwards, because for the first time in a long time, Sega does what Nintendo do.
With the heavy haircut. The sad thing is that actually took a few minutes for me to process, or a few moments for me to process what you were getting at there.
Yeah, because we've been talking about the fact that Nintendo has taken down our fucking videos because we showed a trailer with no sound before and got in fucking trouble about it.
Keep in mind, a trailer public disseminated on the purposes of discussion like we have.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Not even like a leak. Anyway.
Next topic, Dave. Remember how we were talking about how a bunch of good shit came out over the past few months?
Yeah, dude, it's been a sweet time for games.
It
recently.
has been. And one of the more anticipated ones was Mass Effect Andromeda. But, of course...
Dude, that game looked so dope right up until I saw what it actually looked like.
Of course, you can't talk about games and Mass Effect in general without mentioning its fucked up animations, the dead eyes on the characters, the jokes of the Uncanny Valley, animation problems everywhere. The game is fucked as from a technical standpoint. But BioWare has released a patch recently that fixes some of the problems, including that weird dead eye thing that a lot of the humans in the Asaris have had, where they just kind of look around like that everywhere. It was a bit of a problem. And by a bit of a problem, I mean a fucking laughable joke. It made everyone look like they had some kind of mental disability. But they patched it with patch 1.05. That does fix a lot of things. I want to bring up a Reddit post from the user Jizzabo. That kind of has some before, classy name. That has some before and after screenshots of what 1.5 did. Here we can see a couple of the faces here. As you can see, the old on the left, the new after 1.5 on the right. That weird dead-eyed kind of like they're on drugs look has been softened. There's actually some shadows in the eyes now instead of 2 solid white orbs bouncing around there. They did some other plays on the cheeks a little bit, maybe lightened up the blush some. But
it's funny what shading can do.
Yeah, a lot of those problems as far as like the facial animations seem to have been fixed. They still don't quite raise to the level that we've seen with other open world games like, say, Horizon or anything now, but at least it's not so much of a laughingstock. Other fixes that were in this patch includes improved tutorials, increased inventory limits, skipping the autopilot sequences on the galaxy map, which saves a shit ton of time, improved AI issues, continuity for relationships and story arcs. They kind of expanded out some of the story details a little bit so shit isn't confusing. The big things, though, of course, are improved lip sync and facial acting during some conversations, fixed an issue with writers' movements because when they ran a zigzag pattern, it kind of looked like their legs would go one way while their body goes the other.
The Ministry of Silly Walks maneuver.
Yeah. Improved appearance of the eyes, which you're seeing right here, and various collision issues because you can get stuck on terrain, but there'd be no terrain there. It's like you're hanging on invisible polygons. Long story short, this game shouldn't have not been released in the state and has now been knocked back into early access, despite being a full-price game, being advertised as a full game. EA.
What are you, Ubisoft?
Yeah, really. Mass Effect Andromeda could have been a fine game. I'm not going to say it's going to be great, but you could have avoided a lot of the negative press you got if you just would have went, hey, listen, the game's not coming along as good as we thought. I know we said it was going to be this date, but we are going to push it back even more to fix these things. Because there's no way this game would have gotten through QA without someone going, this looks fucked up. You only get one launch. And I'm sure a lot of other people out there would rather you see delay a game, than release it in this early access bullshit with this ship it now, patch it later mentality that has infested the publishing world.
Yeah, it's like a thing we do now.
It's not. I mean, it's not good. It's anti bueno.
Anti bueno. I like that.
You still have a lot of issues of like the plot and the worlds and if it's boring or not, but at least you wouldn't have been the butt of so many fucking jokes if you would have just stepped back and went, this is fucked up, because you guys fixed this in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take all that long, and you're still rolling out more patches. You only get to release a game once, and I know that you had to hit certain quarter commitments and make sure the financials look good on the books. But the Mass Effect series was already kind of damaged with the way 3 ended. I personally feel that's a little bit overblown, but the reality of it is a lot of people were pissed off by that, and this was supposed to be the make good game. This was supposed to be the, hey, we're that BioWare, Mass Effect's still a good series, and we're BioWare with this big storied history, and this is going to be great. Instead, what you did is you gave us Dragon Age 2 again.
Womp womp.
It's a problem. Delay your fucking games if they need to be delayed. Because you knew that this looked fucked up. You couldn't have not known that there were this many issues with it. And you released it anyways. And
Because the internet gets mad at delays. What are we going to do when the internet gets mad?
You fucking ignore them. But here's the thing. The internet gets mad at the drop of a hat. You delay a game, people are going to be pissed. You ship something like this, not only are people going to be pissed, but you're going to have the people who aren't on the internet, who standing by, who are kind of like on the outside looking in a little bit. They're kind of close to the gaming community, but they're not obsessed with it. They get the blowback from something like this as well. And they hear that and they go, oh, fuck that. In addition, when you have such a strong first quarter and second quarter like we've had so far, when you release a game like Mass Effect and you stand it up to the likes of Horizon, Zelda, Neo, Persona 5, Resident Evil 7, it's that the difference is amplified even so much more.
Mm-hmm. It's different if you release it in the middle of no man's land, you know, when nothing's released.
And it's sad to see a game series that actually legitimately means a lot to me. I love the Mass Effect series. It means, like, on an emotional level, that game series means a lot to me. And it fucking sucks to see it get treated this way. And this is all the social commentary aside. We can do a whole show on that where I just rant and insult a bunch of people and get boycotted, but I don't want to do that. From just a technical standpoint, your game's fucked up. And it shouldn't have been released that way. Delay it next time. I would rather you have taken 2 months to put this in the oven and come back more. And now I'm at ranting mode and rambling mode.
Yeah, dude, this news is getting boring and salty. Let's talk about things that other people get salty at, like Overwatch.
Sounds good. We had a leaked trailer for Overwatch come out earlier today. Normally, we don't cover the Overwatch on this channel anymore. We were pretty hard when it was coming out, but they started producing a lot of patches, and it kind of became a little bit overwhelming. But the reason why we're talking about this one is because it was leaked. A French site or a French trailer dropped. The site that I pulled this from is been pulled already, unfortunately, but you can YouTube it and find them up everywhere. The trailer essentially shows King's Row during the day, war-torn and blowout, and it's clearly set during the Omnic Revolt. What this is going to be a new Horde mode in the veins of the Halloween Horde mode that they had, dealing with 4 characters back during the Omnic War, specifically Tracer, Reinhardt, Mercy, and Torbjorn. Now, what I'm excited over this was, David, is that if you remember during the Halloween patch, I said I want to see more of these Horde modes, and perhaps this is how they'll be able to tell the story of the game. It's like they were listening to me.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, who would do that?
I wouldn't. Anyway, it looks fucking cool.
Yeah. No word on exactly when this patch comes out yet. It might be out. The English notes might be out by now. I can't read French, so I have no idea what the fuck they're saying. And more information could have come out before the recording here or during the recording because this is relatively new.
I'm just more excited for the bona fide Overwatch skins that they get.
Yeah, you have the old Overwatch team skins and specifically the Blackwatch skins. That fucking McCree skin that you're seeing right now looks savage, as does the Genji one. Whole bunch of sprays, logos, paints, sprays. Yes, that's sprays. Voice lines, poses, etc. One thing that's really dark, though, is that one of the Widowmaker sprays is the wedding photo of her and her husband that she murdered. Because I think this would be taking place before she became Widowmaker, as it were. And that's just dark as hell.
Yeah, it's hardcore.
But yeah, Overwatch Insurrection, look for that patch coming, I'd say probably 2 weeks. Blizzard has a quick turnaround on this stuff.
I'll play Overwatch again for like a week, and then I'll stop playing it again.
That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I do a lot of Blizzard games, now that I think about it. Anyways, one more bit of news before we wrap up here with the news segment, and that is CD Projekt Red.
We still like CD Projekt Red. That's the short version.
CD Projekt Red trademarks Cyberpunk. If you didn't know, CD Projekt Red's next game is Cyberpunk 2077, and they've recently trademarked the word Cyberpunk.
Isn't that where people start suing everyone when they start using the name and it's all bullshitty?
No, that's copyright. This is trademark. There is a difference. And CD Projekt Red knew this was going to cause a shitstorm and actually proactively released a statement here on Twitter. Long story, this is all the details, but if you can see that too long, don't read it at the beginning. A short answer, it says the following. A short answer would be something along the lines of this. We want to protect our hard work, and we don't plan on using a trademark offensively. It's a self-defensive measure only. If you're interested in details, read on. However, since this is pretty complex, we kindly ask that you take the time and read this top to bottom. Despite them saying that, I'm going to kind of sum up here.
It's pretty well written, though. And it's actually understandable by normal people, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it is very well written. They say, essentially, if your game has the word cyberpunk in it, don't worry about that. We're not coming for you. If your game is set in a cyberpunk setting, we're not coming for you. The only thing that this is in place for are the people who go, yeah, my game is Cyberpunk 2076. Or people that will, you know the ones, like the asset flippers on Steam, for example, that are going to deliberately
Cyberpunk 2080.
Yeah.
That follow the exact naming conventions of their game.
Yeah. Who would deliberately try to tie their game as an official product from CD Projekt Red. This is designed to stop that shit. But for the most part, they're going to take a hands-off measure on this, it sounds like. Remember, trademark is different than copyright. I know it's really confusing to understand for people who aren't into the legalities of it. Shit, I barely understand it myself. But don't worry. See, this isn't like when GW, Games Workshop, trademarked the word Space Marine. Or tried to copyright the term Space Marine. And then we're suing people for a book called Spots to Space Marine. This isn't any of that. This is its own separate thing. Don't worry about it. Keep calm. It's going to be okay. If CD Projekt Red does go after someone that we think isn't violating their trademark, then we will bring out the pitchforks of a long knives. But until then, take a step back, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. David.
New releases.
Yeah, I had a setup for that, but let's go right into it.
Yeah, I don't need time. We've been talking about all kinds of bullshit for a while, so let's talk about games that you can actually play this week. Those are new games that are coming out. So the first one is a game that had a very successful Kickstarter like 2 years ago, and it's the spiritual successor to Banjo and Kazooie, which is kind of the spiritual successor to Donkey Kong Country in a way, old school rare game. Yooka-Laylee is finally coming out. Now, I know a lot of people were very excited for this game, but it is getting some criticism now that it's out. The big thing that I'm aware of is I guess it has a lot of pretty significant slowdown and stuttering issues, especially on Xbox, though PS4 Pro apparently can run at just a straight locked 30 FPS. So take it as you want to.
What I will say about Yooka-Laylee is that it plays like a 64 game. It has all that great platforming, if you remember then, and it's very cute and colorful, but it also plays like a Nintendo 64 game. It has all the issues that went along with that, including, like you said, stuttering, frame rate issues. It doesn't really all look that great during some parts. Just stay away from it. It's bad.
Or you can play it and make your own decisions. Find out more this week if you buy your own damn games and don't listen to this asshole.
For us to tell you what to do, so don't play it.
Oh, okay. Well, what if you happen to be the kind of person that likes side-scrolling nonsense games on the PC or Vita that are super just Japanese as hell and have been translated by Nipponichi Software?
That's oddly specific, but go on.
If you're exactly that kind of person, you might be excited for A Rose in the Twilight, a game I'm pretty positive his wife is going to buy.
More than likely.
It is a 2D side-scroller where you play as a kind of cutesy-looking girl who has some kind of dark powers and possesses a thing called the Curse of Thorns. You absorb and transfer blood to attack various 2D enemies in a like sort of gothic, dark, and also Lolita cutesy art style.
Great description, David.
Right? It looks kind of dope. The music sounds pretty cool. And it looks like a pretty solid platformer if that's your thing. And it's a Vita game. So if you're the kind of person that has a Vita, well, something new for you to play. Now, if you don't have a Vita, recently we were talking about some enhanced editions of games that we really wanted to play that maybe had some 4K upscaling. One of those is out this week. That is Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition.
Classic CRPG from BioWare. No, not BioWare did this? I can't even remember it anymore now.
Fucking stoked for this re-release. Now, it's awesome that the Enhanced Edition is hitting PC and you can get the 4K and all this shit and the game's going to look better audio. If you've never played Planescape, it is like kind of a definitive RPG. If you don't give two shits about RPGs, stay the fuck away from it because it's a godly awful long game.
I wouldn't be surprised if you missed it when it first came out, but if you liked the original Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 on PC, you have no excuse not to play this one.
Torment is a fantastic fucking game if you can get through the fact that it's 24 years old. It's been enhanced. It looks better. The thing I'm most excited for, while the PC release is hitting now, they're also going to release a version of the game on like iOS and Android devices. And I think we talked about this last time. This is my new go-to playing game.
Yeah,
I can't fucking wait. Also coming out this week, Cosmic Star Heroine.
Yes.
A game that looks badass.
Yes.
It was a Kickstarted game for PC. I think it's actually on PC, Mac, Vita, and PS4. I think it is a Vita game.
Yeah, and I believe Xbox One as well. I'm not positive on that, though.
It is an RPG from the creators of Cthulhu Saves the World. It's a 2D RPG inspired heavily by like Chrono Trigger, old school Phantasy Stars, the old Suikoden games. It looks cool. It's got good sound design. It looks pretty damn fun. It's
I'm getting
definitely
Phantasy
like
Star vibes all over this game. I'm so fucking excited to get a hold of it.
it's 90s as fuck. Look, if you want to, just check out the trailer on Steam or YouTube it. Just look up Cosmic Star Heroine. I'm actually pretty intrigued in this game. It looks really fun. But if you're not into 90s RPGs, maybe stay away. Finally, if you have a PS4 and you also have VR for that, you can check out Starblood Arena, a game that I think was on the demo disc for PSVR.
I think so. I'm not positive. Essentially, what
If
this
you look at
is...
it, it's a very, very VR game. It's a kind of first-person shooter ship game with a combat element, like a...
Think Descent, where it's a 360 first-person shooter.
Okay.
Do you remember Descent, the old PC game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
trying
like
to think
that,
of something
in a
else I would
multiplayer
call
arena.
it.
It's multiplayer
that
arena
works.
Descent.
Mm-hmm. It's rigs, except you can go up and down.
Anyways, I think that kind of wraps it up for new releases. And with that, I think that also wraps it up for the show. We're running a tad later than we normally do. Admittedly, we did have the hiccup in the middle where we lost the feed for about 5 minutes or so, but...
Which burns me out because that burns through our topic that I was going to talk about. That's okay.
we can do it anyways if you want.
Well, I can sum it up really quick. So for this week, our main topic was, what does Microsoft have to do if they can do anything to catch up with Sony this year? Now, we talked about the fact that Sony has had a kind of killer lineup of first-party, or not necessarily first-party, but exclusive titles that have come out already this year. And Microsoft doesn't really have shit coming down the pipeline.
No.
Some of the cool games that they were going to have come out, they've canned. So there's not a lot necessarily to look forward to. With the Scropio coming out this year, we're just wondering, what can they do?
I will go ahead and start off by saying that I'm kind of glad to see that they get all the tech shit out of the way now. They didn't do a conference for it. They just had an exclusive with the website and said, hey, here's all the hardcore tech specs. This is all the inside guts of it. This is what it can do. This is what it can run. And the reason why I'm happy they got it out of the way now is because what I'm hoping for is that when E3 comes around this year, they don't have to discuss all that boring shit then. Because E3, as Sony has proven over the past couple years, needs to be 100% game all the time. And Microsoft has fucking paid that price twice in a row now. So I think what you're seeing here is a start
them
to
getting rid of the nerdy shit really early so people like us can talk about it.
Absolutely. David, it sounds like you had something you wanted to say about this, so why don't you go ahead and lead us off on the nitty-gritty.
Well, so
I just wanted to get that caveat.
I'm just going to follow up with the conversation I started when we were talking about the Scorpio specs in the first place. Now, I'm going to keep kind of going on the Scorpio train right now, but the big thing is they are pushing Scorpio not as the number one game console in the world, but as your all-in-one inclusive media machine. And it's potentially possible they'll grab some people because their market is actually very similar to the market that the PS4 Pro had. People that already have 4K TVs or looking to get one that want to have the best possible audiovisual experience, with the big thing being Scorpio will do all of it better than PlayStation. The only challenge being the games. So if they can get their hands on some sweet exclusives or actually manage to get just the best versions of third-party games, like I was mentioning earlier. So if the new, I can't think of a late game coming out this year. But if the new whatever game comes out at the end of the year and on PS4 it's got a slower frame rate or maybe the graphics aren't as amazing, who knows, but the Scorpio can run it 60 FPS, 4K, I think I know which one I'd lean towards. Especially, you go. I got another thing to talk about.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead, by all means.
So the other big thing is we were talking about the potential price of the Scorpio being about $500, even if it's $600. Now, you have a pretty beast PC already. Now, if you didn't, say you were an upgrade ago, which is probably where more PC gamers would sit, how much money would you have to dump into your computer to get consistent 4K 60 FPS gaming? Ballpark it.
Let's see. If you were last upgrade, you would have to get a minimum a processor and GPU. So minimum $1,000, $500 for the GPU, $500 the processor.
$1,000, and keeping in mind that's just going to be upgrading it on your PC. Now,
let's say $800 if you can find them on
now,
games.
With that in mind, how likely are you to pump that out to your giant flat screen TV and have it run perfectly?
Yeah, that I mean,
fucking zero, because PCs do not output in the correct way for a regular TV to get the video. You need a high-end gaming monitor, and you will not get the best possible fidelity or even fucking latency out of a TV. But if the Scorpio is built from the ground up for the guys that have fucking 60, 70-inch 4K TV sitting in their living room, and they can spend a measly $500, $600 comparatively to the $1,200 or $2,000 they have to spend on a PC to do it, I can see where they're going in. It's a high-end market, but there is a market there.
That is something I didn't consider when we were talking about earlier, is the fact that PCs are designed to be broadcast on screens no bigger than 30 inches. They're just not.
Yep. Not at all.
Your average TV is going to be minimum 40 inches in America. I think it's like at 38 or 39. So I could see that if they were designing it for that, that's definitely a big draw. Ultimately, your claim of if the third-party games look better on Scorpio, I don't think that's going to affect them too much. I think that if people already have PlayStation 4, they're not going, or an Xbox One even, they're not going to spend the extra $500 to make that third-party game look a little bit better, because we are going to be talking about still incremental upgrades overall, because it still has to cater to the lowest common denominator. What the Scorpio needs, and I will say this over and over again about any system, are exclusives. And the only game that I can think of that Microsoft could possibly get an exclusive for, and even then it wouldn't be exclusive, it would be like a timed exclusive, because Halo doesn't have the power it used to. A lot of people don't care about Halo as much. Gears of War, once again, was never really a big franchise. Forza, great racing game, but still, you're talking about a niche crowd. The only game that can pull enough people away from the Sony market to actually go, okay, sorry, we have had a good run, but I'm going to Microsoft now, is if they are able to somehow, and I don't think it's going to happen, but it needs to be a game of this magnitude, if they were able to somehow get some kind of timed exclusive on Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh my god, that's huge.
That would be the only thing I can think of that would draw people away.
Because that's already probably coming out like late Q3 or even Q4 this year. If they got like a fucking 3-month exclusive and push the RDR2 release on PS4 to next year, that would be insane.
That would actually put asses in seats as far as the Scorpio is concerned.
Dude, I'd buy a Scorpio.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's a bad business decision on Rockstar's part. But it would have to be something that major for the Scorpio to be able to recoup as much market share as the Xbox One has lost.
I gotcha.
Like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. There's no indication that it's going to happen. In fact, it would be stupid for that to happen on Rockstar's part, in my belief. But it would have to take something that big for the Scorpio to even come close to what the PlayStation 4 has as far as units and market share goes. And that's all I gotta say about
most things. Only time will tell.
Exactly. This, I think, is going to wrap everything up. This has been a
lengthy GamePoints.
Yeah, this has been a lengthy GamePoints episode 84. Thank you for joining us. As always, we do try to stream every Monday here at twitch.tv/GamePoints at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We always participate when you join us here in chat. We try to address you whenever we can. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to check the links to the stories down below. I'm going to post a whole bunch of stuff on there, as I always do. No matter where you're watching us from, please like, comment, subscribe, follow, and do all the other stuff that people love you for you to do, so that way you can be notified when we go live. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at GamePoints PC on Twitter. You can follow us individually. I am Stephen Brown at CapitalistPig21. That is David Smith at PalSci_Story. Oh,
I tweeted once. I got
my throat dry, because this has been a very long episode of GamePoints. Once again, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week, and we are out of here.
Don't pre-order. Or die.